Oh, you don't like TWEWY? Well, as my friend says, your opinions are garbage. Crunch! I'll add them to the heap. I worry a lot about fitting in, being like my heroes, you know? But it's hard because those people are much smarter, more accomplished, better, in a word, at least in my mind, and that anxiety has only gotten stronger with age. I'll listen to him talk about anything, old films, books, even games sometimes, and think, man, I have no ground, no base to stand on. Do I know anything? But I realize that those people aren't from my background. They weren't poetry people or GBA enthusiasts. Whole generations divide me and some of my heroes, and they've got their foundational works already, so what are mine? Well, for anyone like me, video game and anime-obsessed weirdos who get a little too genuine sometimes, it's TWEWY. It's a wonderful world, better known as The World Ends With You. Better known as TWEWY is some bona fide, one-of-a-kind gaming greatness, stuff we're never seeing again. And big surprise, came out of the team that handled Kingdom Hearts. I know, shocker. It's a hyper-stylish action RPG with truly unique gameplay set in the sprawling streets of Shibuya, Tokyo, making it one of the few games set somewhere I've been. I saw Luffy there. His arm went... It never truly penetrated the mainstream, but that didn't stop it from penetrating me. Greenlighting a manga, an anime adaptation, even a sequel that did... Oh my god! What's really incredible about TWEWY, what makes it worth your time, and this goes for both games, is the storytelling. Like, take a look at this thing. It's not slick with the subtlety most great Western art is. Massive quotations there. Things like a poison dart frog to Call of Duty bros and other man-dude, great place, gun-shoot gamers. But it's one of the few series written with genuine subtext, an artist's touch, impressive packaging. It doesn't just speak, it sings. Things peak fiction, and I'll die on this hill. And today, we're breaking both of them down, so here's your double deal voucher to the end of the world, courtesy of KBash, baby. Let's go! Man, I love this game. TWEWY is one of the greatest DS games, period, and my own #1 pick, just edging out Nights in the Nightmare.
Don't make games about menus. Here's some menus.
Yeah, that one. Because TWEWY does its own thing, and nothing else does TWEWY. Did someone get TWEWY some sex? As soon as I let slip that I was covering the game, I got asked, hey, what version you playing? And big surprise, but I'm on Final Remix, the Switch version with bonus content, HD graphics, and some real questionable controls.
Please, what the f-
But you know what? I got through the game. I don't mind weird setups, and frankly, I hate complaining about controls. You know, don't tell people how weak you are. They will take advantage of you. And don't underestimate your human ability to adapt. If you can't perform Vegas Ultra 1, I don't want to hear it. TWEWY was developed for touchscreen, designed exclusively for the DS. It's basically impossible to replicate elsewhere. You remember the DS? Sometimes they made you blow in that shit. But I've heard good things about playing on iPad as well. I know some fans are probably still groaning about how inferior the Switch version is by comparison to the DS, so PSA, yes, the original's best, but I've played through it enough times, and now I'm gonna spice up my life. Please enjoy watching me fumble basic inputs and combos for the entire video. So what is TWEWY about? Great question. The title's not super self-explanatory, so here's the gist. Tokyo hood rat Neku Sakuraba dies and ends up trapped in the underground, or UG, a reflection of the real world populated mostly by other dead people, all participating in the Reaper's game, a true death, zero-sum game where the winner is rewarded with life. Coming to think of it, TWEWY's the only death game media I like at all, probably because it's hopeful. Instead of torture porn. How did Neku die, though? It's a mystery at first, but for now, let's imagine it was something like this. Yo, man, just let me know if you need anything. Nah, I'm just window shopping. I download all my music illegally, especially the indie bands.
What the
Every premise has a complication, though, you know, situation, but, okay? In this case, it's Neku's personality. He's kind of a jerk-ass. Neku hates just about everyone, but he needs a partner to even survive the Reaper's game. And I don't just mean because pointy frogs are attacking him. You die on your own without a partner in the underground. So he's thrust into extremely unfamiliar territory and forced to adapt and grow for survival. I think some people get hung up on the guy because he really does start rough, but God, if I don't viscerally feel this character. His entire intro, go away, shut up, I don't get people. I felt that stuff in my bones at 15. I feel that stuff today. Neku is maybe the most relatable character I've ever met in a game. Most relatable. That's cringe, KBash. You're cringe! My read on the character is he's a guy that keeps to himself, but more importantly would do no harm. Okay, no, don't look. Someone who doesn't want to participate at all in society because he doesn't get the hype. And same. I mean, at the cost of being a normal human and going to work, I started a YouTube channel. And it's my job, so that'll show you, society. I won the game. I won! I'm so... Neku's forced into partnering with this girl, Shiki, and the Reaper's game begins in earnest. 1 week, 7 missions, failure means erasure, and erasure means death. Just damn it, my veins. Not content with being fire writ upon the page, TWEWY, or the devs, I guess, set out to do something weird. It's a game that's distinctly modern, excluding the flip phone. Damn, some kids can't even use those anymore. Being the hippest game in town, it rejects a lot of classic game design. It's a JRPG in the sense that it comes from Japan, but that's about it. Sure, most of the missions involve killing monsters or erasing the noise, as they call it, so it's a combat-oriented game. That's nothing new, but it slides between different objectives and side content. Plenty of puzzle-esque design, too. It's a balanced experience from start to finish, and even where it veers traditional, the execution is innovative. Like Heelys. TWEWY is Heelys. Like, let's talk difficulty before anything. TWEWY did something very strange. You don't select easy or hard mode at the start of the game. You can swap on a dime, and you're actively encouraged to change it up. Some missions require you to play on easy, and others demand hard. You can even temporarily shave levels off your character, and the harder the game is for the player, the greater the rewards. So you learn really fast that hard mode and half-level play is a quick and viable way to grind up experience, money. It's amazing. Never played anything like it. When I was 15, I was scared to even bother with hard modes in games. TWEWY made it okay. Like, game, please, direct my mouth and let's get this done. This is a game you could conceivably beat on the DS by blowing the whole time. By the way, it doesn't matter what platform you play TWEWY on, you're either scratching the screen and blowing, looking like a perfectly well-adjusted person, or you're desperately reining in the Joy-Con gyro controls. It's a lively, kinetic experience, more than most games. Shoot, I played the whole thing standing up this go-around. Probably lost like 1 whole pound and screamed the whole time. Controls sometimes get confusing for newer players in either version because of the partner system. In the old days, you tapped buttons for your partner's moves, and depending on your partner, it was more or less frustrating to keep track of either screen while actively touchscreening with Neku. There was a combo multiplier you had to pass between screens. And in the Switch version, there's a couple options, but I just straight up used both Joy-Cons, which is intended for co-op, and co-oped with myself, because no one in a 100-mile radius understands my love for this game. Game theory: TWEWY simulates the difficulty of understanding others by making partner combat complex. Just kidding, that's not a theory, that's true. That's literally the truth. Good work. There's a sticker, good work. Now, every attack the player can use is affixed to a different pin, each with different command inputs, different properties, from telekinesis to lightning bolts. Basically, characters in TWEWY channel magic power kind of through pins, like these Golden Sun pins I got at a con before the world ended. Wind, water, fire. And inputs range from tapping to slashing to scritching a single point. You can customize your battle experience so particularly and do so many cool moves. I really appreciate the customizable nature of the game. It all feeds into the narrative too. The only person Neku really seems jazzed about is some artist named Cat, whose motto he lives by: enjoy every moment with all you've got, and do what you want, how you want, when you want. Turns out Cat's a libertarian. And that is the gameplay experience in a nutshell, as easy or hard as you like, as frantic or relaxed as you need it to be. Play how you want. Anyone coming in talking about get good, get the f out. TWEWY said B. Okay, it said B. And that's enough. And it speaks to me because I love finding my own solutions in games. It's why I rail against gameplay prescriptivism and perfectionism so often, because having to mold your whole ass skull to some dev's idea of correct is annoying. Incidentally, I suck at math. They don't tolerate that stuff in Dungeons & Dragons, okay? They call that railroading, deliberately ignoring the player's good ideas. And last I checked, that game's been going for nearly 50 years. Maybe they're onto something. On top of the narrative cohesion of customization, the fundamental rules of combat hit the game's themes just as hard. It's narrative cohesion all the way down. Setting aside your little pin lineup you picked out, the point of combat is to sync up with your partner, timing your attacks to strike simultaneously or bounce between one another to build up a bar for a massive full-screen payoff.
Yeah, I hate this one. Oh my god. Oh! Yeah, get schmuck. Okay, that's kind of fire though.
I think it worked better in the original. As you can see here, I'm mashing ridiculously hard and to great effect, but there's no grace, and some of the combos you can consistently pull on the DS are just sunset levels of beauty, but whatever, it gets the job done. Still, let's not get too deep into the combat. There's more going on in the game. It's time to hit the streets.
We have a G-line, B-line, Pete Rat, Gumai, Candor.
Oh my god, what? What's the problem? I'm sorry, were you listening?
Nothing.
It's nothing.
Chibi is massive, a fat schmix of conflicting ideas, voices, styles, and it's represented in the stores littering the map. Brands dominate play. Differently branded clothing and pins, so your basic equipment, actually gain and lose power based on their prevalence in a given area. Like, not dramatically so, and you can directly control a brand's dominance by fighting a few battles in a given area, but it's still part of play. TWEWY's a highly materialistic game on the surface, but it's deeper than your shopping cart, okay? It ducks the easy consumerism critique. The title's right there.
Oh, he said it! Title drop!
Expanding your world is on you. It means coming into contact with other people and their values, integrating, synthesizing, finding your truth, and navigating the truths of others. All of that high-minded verbiage is baked into the gameplay, into the world, talking to shopkeeps.
Oh my god. Thanks to the Max for those fat stats. My brother, please!
Mix and matching different brands for different stats and bonuses, eating food from all over town, getting stronger with increasingly fat shit. I mean, I'll be the first to attest. Walking around Tokyo all day and eating great food will keep you healthy and regular, so, I mean, that's just hard realism if we're being honest.
Now, I for one don't get this whole food increases your bravery thing, so I'll show you how it should be done. First, we shall boil the dogs. Okay, as we know, hot dogs are best served cut lengthwise in salad. We will not be consuming them. Here, what we really want is the dog water. So we will take that and pour it into our orange pico tea. There we go. Time for a tall sip of hot dog water tea.
It's kind of genius to set an RPG in the present day, in a real place painted with stylized strokes. There's truly nothing else like it. It swims in its themes so effortlessly. It's eternally unique, and I don't think you could sell a story like TWEWY anywhere else, even half as effectively. Some stories work best as games. Simple as that. This is a game that rewards you for touching grass, right? You come back and get some pee-pee. It's pinpoints you. Even the side stuff, manipulating the real world like a ghost in some urban legend minigame, or better yet, Tin Pin Slammer! The gameplay is profoundly modern. And also profoundly radical! Check this sweet knockout! Whoa! In short, the actual play is archetypal ludonarrative harmony. All you have to do is ask what kind of behaviors are rewarded by the designers, and what's the story about. The game and its narrative are working together. The narrative wants Neku to grow out of his asocial bubble, so the gameplay rewards the player for syncing up with their partner in combat. The narrative wants Neku to expand his world, so the game rewards experimentation with different equipment, from different brands, new pins with new abilities. Everyone in the underground is dead, but even so, they can influence the real world through direct and indirect gameplay. The writer takes a stance here on the weight and importance of values and ideas, the quite literally indomitable human spirit.
Yoink!
The whole ride is deeply, ambrosially satisfying and immersive. Okay, that's all well and good, but it's not enough on its own for people on the fence. Thankfully, every element's great, so let's pick one from the orchard. How about presentation? Like how it looks, sounds, and lesser appreciated, how it's packaged for the player. TWEWY is one of my biggest inspirations for graphic design as a totally untrained neophyte, and that goes double for Neo. Thick black outlines, clean, flat color with light gradient aesthetic, Nomura & Co. with the A+ character designs that convey character at a glance. It's a sleek and modern work. Nomura even held off on the zippers for once. Good for him. Good for him. Now, I'm not huge on the soundtrack, but to be fair, most of my music is stuff someone with a trust fund might listen to. Even though I don't, I'm just embarrassed to talk about my bougie music, so on that front I choose silence. What I'm most interested in, though, because it's something that the sequel doesn't even manage perfectly, is structure. The best things come in threes: cartoon characters, Magneton, my thumbnails, I guess. TWEWY is divided into 3 clean arcs, all starring Neku, those being weeks 1 to 3, featuring a different partner for each. Yeah, in case it wasn't obvious, the game doesn't wrap up in a week. It's really important that you hook your audience in YouTube, in novels, and games as well. It's a medium that, unlike when I first played the thing, is so immensely disposable. The idea that you can just put something down if you're not feeling it, and get stun-locked for 2 depressing hours with analysis paralysis and a whole library to choose from via Game Pass, PS Now, your own pile of unplayed games. Gaming ain't what it was, but TWEWY knew what to do and came out swinging. So it's split into 3 sharp arcs that highlight different people in different stages of Neku's growth. They're quick, concise, and enjoyable. I ran through the game in 4 days. It's that good. So what's on offer? If you're trying to duck spoilers, get out now. The truth is, you could spend several hours laying it all out, but I figure half my audience hasn't played this yet, and you're only gonna play it if you get interested, and only once you've played it and are interested should you be scrounging the web for long-form analyses. So let me act as the intermediary I've always been. TWEWY's main cast is killer, top to bottom. Every single one is likable and well written. I usually hear gamers whine about anime aesthetics and anime-looking characters being annoying, but let me put a stop to that real quick. They're fantastic, so shut it the hell up. Every character playing the Reaper's game had to give whatever's most important to the character up for a chance to play. Neku gave up his memories, so his asocial behavior makes sense. Of course he's comically withdrawn and prickly. Setting aside that this is a traumatized individual, taking a cursory glance at his backstory, he's in a high-pressure, unfamiliar situation, and he has no idea why. You ever seen an Alzheimer's victim lash out at their loved ones? Saddest thing I ever saw. Tragedy. Now that person's trapped downtown with a series of magical pins and a girl who won't leave him alone. Doing the numbers here and it don't take a genius. Shiki presents as trendy and bubbly, but constantly recedes into her phone when all of her attempts bounce off Neku, probably the single most difficult person in town, if we're being honest. We learn that she gave up her actual appearance when she entered the game, and she's effectively LARPing as her best friend. Like, mental health hotline, please pick up, this girl's a wreck! She battles with a stuffed cat she made herself, in case you weren't clued in to her identity and self-concept being the focus of her character arc.
And the famous Shiki trying to get into Neku's pants. You know, it's really no wonder. I liked this game so much when I was that age.
Beats the dumbest guy in the room. I can respect that. If you're gonna be anything, why not be the best? Beats an earnest kid, clearly consumed by inadequacy and subculture. At least if his sister's dialogue's anything to go by, but he contrasts neatly with just about everyone else. Also, he rides a skateboard into battle. That's like insta-cool. I wonder if he can do a Christ air or a kickflip. Now, like Shiki, his combat preferences are also relevant to his character, because he's trying to escape expectations by going really fast. Rhyme's a character who presumably gave up her dreams to enter the game, and that's extremely important to the overarching plot because, oh my god. The last character on the front cover is Joshua. He's a smarmy, obnoxious prick, which is why I liked him so much at 15, though he grates a little bit now. But it's understandable with the context informing the character. He can use telekinesis and eventually levitate, summon light beams. That's not suspicious. Nope. And while I love the rest of the characters, the antagonists, here's a quick rundown. Wood, without even a second of hesitation. Most of them masquerade as walking character traits, like this guy, the boss of the first week, loves his food puns. I don't know how it helps the story, except add some levity in a fairly heavy beginning. Minamoto, head of week 2, is a math freak.
I think it might be, like, illegal to recite that much of pi from memory.
It's unfortunate that they generally don't get the screen time to make them as meaningful as the rest of the cast, but that doesn't mean the vibes aren't immaculate. I'm struggling to think of a character I truly dislike. The weeks divide TWEWY's story into consumable chunks. In the first week, we trust no one and still have tons to learn about the game and its rules. There's some palpable friction between the player and the protagonist. Neku rejects Shiki constantly despite her kindness, actively punishes her for choosing him as a partner until she hits rock bottom partway through and becomes despondent, forcing Neku to step up or face erasure. That rocky movement from point A to B, cold to genuine, is like the most satisfying thing ever to watch unfold. We're allowed to like Neku. He gets redeemed. And man, for all the obnoxious trickery and manipulation the Reapers put you through, it feels damn good putting the screws to the boss. Now, the game isn't told sequentially all the time. It'll obfuscate events, so after the first major boss, you wake up stuck in the underground once again. Only Shiki's missing. TWEWY is great at drama, something essential to most quality stories. So right after the ultimate triumph, and then a fall, you're left hanging, forced into an entirely new week with an entirely obnoxious partner and no idea what went wrong. Thankfully, the game fills in the blanks. The Reapers cheated, more or less, and declared your victory null and void. They let you re-enter and return your memories at the cost of the new thing Neku cares most about, Shiki. That hurts, man. Why you gotta... It's only been 1 week and I'm feeling things. Week 2 drags the most, I'd say. It's the mid-game, bro. Get it? The intro leaves you feeling helpless, doubtful you can actually win the Reapers game, and Joshua doesn't make it easy. He constantly asks Neku to shirk their player duties because only one team has to complete any daily objective for every player to survive. He's untrustworthy, but surprisingly devious. Sabotages a tin pin tournament so Neku can win. But he connects to Neku in his own way, wanting freedom, not caring about everyone else, their little ideals. He seems misanthropic, but so is Neku, and after it's revealed that Mr. H knows Joshua, Neku starts to trust the guy. Regardless, a growing tension permeates the entirety of the second week. Between the slower gameplay and frustrating back and forth segments, the player is left wondering how Neku died in the first place, and Neku remembers incomplete bits of it over time. It culminates in Neku coming to trust Joshua, thinking the boss, Minamoto, killed him, and Joshua apparently sacrificing himself by the end, leaving Neku alone again, after shitting on the guy all week and finally opening up. Man, anytime you see that "name a character who suffered more" tweet, please post Neku. The final week is where things go apeshit. Neku's win is nullified again. He's given a final week to win it all and takes it. We're pumped by this point. We're gonna kill all the Reapers and win this stupid game. We just need a partner. Unfortunately, it's the stupidest, most uneducated f***ing idiot in the entire multiverse. Beat's entire segment blows right by as the player fumbles through day after day, with Beat constantly making things harder than necessary, and it ends, like you'd expect, with a number of returning characters, mysteries solved, bosses battled, no element goes unused, and really, none of the actual events, on paper, are why I love TWEWY's story in sum. What I really love about TWEWY is that Neku, from the very beginning till the final scene, is still right. He knew exactly what people were and was honest about it from the start. They're loud. They're pushy, they have opinions and ideas, and they can get in your business. And worse than that, they're manipulative, selfish, and cruel. But Neku himself was most of those things, and just because you're right doesn't mean you win a prize. Still, Neku opened himself up to being vulnerable and took in more of the interpersonal pain he tried to drown out, but ultimately grew, became warm, because yeah, people do suck, but not all people suck, and it's those people that make life worth living, that you have to live for. And you can absolutely live for yourself, but nobody gets anywhere alone. TWEWY is all the lessons about life I had left to learn, and I glossed them all at 15. It's nice going back and finding out that you were right, but you had so much contextualizing left to do. And I'll do myself one better. One of my core beliefs as a person is kind of the entire point of the game, celebrating differences. You wouldn't want a party of 4 rogues in your Dungeons & Dragons team. You want a tank, you want a mage, you want diversity and utility. And as fakey and gamey as that sounds, I believe the same is true of real life. We are better people for understanding the perspectives of others. I don't mean tolerating or accepting everything. I mean being mindful of those around us. understanding where people came from and celebrating their unique strengths. You know, KBash might not be the most incisive YouTuber, but damn it, he's gonna try to keep you entertained along the way.
Pee pee poo poo.
TWEWY believes in diversity down to the bones. It's an idea woven into every facet of gameplay and present in every bit of the story. Shibuya itself is thought of so highly in-game because it enables diversity, punks, goths, health nuts, modern chic, traditionalism, nostalgia, whatever beats doing. Your world ends where you choose, yes, but there's so much good to find in expanding it. So, a brief word on the final remix content. You gotta seek and destroy 3 super encounters throughout the weeks, but thankfully there's a handy mission select, so no worries. Once you do, an annoying 8-year-old fucking kills you. You play through an hour-long segment that leads into the events of the sequel, and hey, I'm not about summarizing everything. But I think if you're a fan, or end up a fan, you'll be shocked by how much background noise informs the story. You can unlock a secret report written by a certain character for every in-game day that details massive amounts of information, from the stuff you'd never want to drop mid-plot, and good on them for avoiding dumb exposition dumps and leaving it optional. I personally hate when every single facet of a fictional universe is spelled out plainly. I like a little mystery, it makes things fun, and if you read them all, well, most of that's gonna vanish. The writers showed great restraint in crafting this setup and leaving it mostly hidden, focusing on what the player can see, infer, and interact with. It's just another notch in TWEWY's belt. Everything about the gameplay works and ties into the narrative. Everything about the story works as fiction. It remains one of the most considered, finely crafted experiences in gaming, and some of its most aspirational narrative work as well. Hey, how's that localization?
Maybe you missed the memo.
Perfect. Love it. Love all of this. Hey, Squex!
Are you f***ing kidding me?
What's going on at marketing, huh? Having a little trouble selling your beautiful, endearing, and otherwise high-quality products? DM for PayPal info. Thanks, TWEWY NEO kicks ass, and don't let anyone tell you different. It ain't the original. Very explicitly is not the original, but that's not the problem. Trying to live up to that name ain't worth anyone's time, so they spun out in a new direction. And I'm telling you, after the Trials remake, my favorite genre of new game is old Squex property done on a budget. At least, less of a budget than whatever's going on with Cloud Skin. Yeah, pus comes out of those pores. By the way, thing took how long to greenlight? TWEWY as a property was always fringe, but fans were starving for years, and it's not like the original sold poorly. Sometimes things fall by the wayside, but what a criminally overlooked IP. TWEWY is magic, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. And with all that time between games, modern Shibuya gets a whole new look, drips up, if you will. Fully 3D environments and modern action combat. You can buy boba. You can buy boba! I didn't even own a phone when the first game came out. Time flies regardless of how much fun you're having. Look, this kid's got a new iPhone. Are you serious? I'm still on this $100 LG crap. Alright, Rindo and Fret, explicably, but not quite yet, walk into the underground, just waltz right into the Reaper's game and have no idea what's going on. The Kino kids spend most of the week thinking it's a prank or something. Also, Minamoto joins up. With you?
Factoring hectopascals. Translation. Fucking idiots.
I already have a lot of questions, but letting me kick my enemies with the best mathematician is assuaging my concerns. Now, you'll meet up with more characters and we'll talk about them, but it's worth establishing upfront that TWEWY NEO was built on the bones of the original. It's deeply referential and in fact contiguous with the first game, but it's packaged for newcomers.
Look, they even make you do a mini game for 5-year-olds, and no one will know it took me 5 times longer than a normal person.
It can be legitimately painful watching these kids not figure out what the hell's going on with the Underground and Reaper's game for multiple in-game days when you know exactly what's up. And part of me wishes it was packaged for fans. Another tight story with the same highs and lows and arcs as the first, and it really isn't. It's a slow roll that I think takes until the very end to get a meaningful payoff.
But I'd argue it couldn't really match the original for tight story delivery anyway.
So I applaud them for taking a different path. And digging into the thing, it's written really well, and subtly too, but again, you gotta clean your plate before you get dessert. Fucking YouTuber KBash told me I had to beat the fucking game. Still, I appreciate the familiarity of the setup and its novelty. Getting kind of Neku again, that is, a disaffected young person stuck to his tech, won't get off his phone. and watching him interact with his tonally opposite friend, basically a gag anime character, and eventually the ultimate otaku who mistakes Minamoto for her favorite mobile game character. Thankfully, I don't need to retread too much. Difficulty swapping and level shaving are still present. Grinding is fairly easy, only you're on a controller this time. So everything's different! You get one pin, so one button in battle for each character in your party. Combat gets a lot more enjoyable by the endgame. Means you can do this. Fully 3D combat means loading into a fight, controlling a character in stylized but mostly empty arenas, and pressing buttons. It's weird to pick up, but not like the old game. Back then, the major problem was complication. Not being trained to look up and down between screens and controlling both. That was a hurdle. Nowadays, it's all about the tech business, like you'll be mashing away with Rindo and inputting frets attacks while charging Minamoto's next big hit, and occasionally you'll swap perspective to another character whose pin you're using. It might look jarring, but it isn't really. Complex, yes, but you can quite literally mash into the endgame like a big dumb brute. That's me. I'm on a schedule and I'm not apologizing. Check it, I pull up like the Hulk, okay? Ooga booga, KBash smash! It's a relatively unknown subject, probably because the default TWEWY experience isn't super hardcore, but if you really want to get nerdy, I'm gonna throw up a channel right here. You would be shocked at the level of depth present in the mechanics, in pin combinations. It's some really fascinating work and elevates the combat beyond what you typically get in modern, lower-budget Square action RPGs. It's criminal that hardly anyone will ever find out or care. I went through the game techless. You're watching it now. Grunka Unka, me go fast. The varied enemy types add a lot of flavor to combat, not like they couldn't before, but it's different fighting things in 2D with a universally applicable super dodge, and in 3D with elevation and juggling, and man, it's bringing a tear to my eye. I never thought we'd get this. All big modern game style. Don't get me wrong, it's slightly stiffer than you'd expect. The animations aren't next level, but like I said, budget. And it's bang for buck or bust. What does that mean? And don't you worry, the combat's still packing narrative cohesion like most parts of the game. The game's about a lot of things, but connecting genuinely is one of its strongest themes. Just like how I'm genuinely connecting these sick party combos, bro! Hey! Drop the beat! Now, this is TWEWY, so it's an RPG, meaning clothes and food in this case. Clothes function a little differently. See, in the old days, you would eat food to increase your bravery, and basically all clothes were affixed with a special ability. Nowadays, though, you can wear anything you want, regardless of your stats, you just won't unlock the ability right away. That's pretty important in a game with a maximum of 6 playable characters. Instead of a bravery stat, you get style points, which will unlock passive clothing abilities. I don't think it's a better concept than bravery, but it's more instantly accessible. I like that you can wear things even if you can't really make them work. Story of my fashion life.
Yeah, clothes in TWEWY are weird, but check the fit. We got combo damage hat, plus HP top, the money socks, and as a bonus, well, this one doesn't do anything, but I like it.
Food's the real shakeup, though. Before, you had a maximum intake amount, and food was relevant, but not half as important as the food in Neo. You want to fill up and then empty with battles, on loop, forever, because your stats are directly affected permanently by what you eat. I remember glossing that during play and getting annihilated at one point and going, whoops, I've only been eating food casually. Turns out a human being needs 3 square. Pause the video and eat something already. Fucking take care of yourself. You matter. God. So, maximum points guide. Let me lay it all out. Get empty. Go to the cafe and chug black coffee for attack power specifically, or soda for HP and defense. Ignore what the game's telling you about how much your friends hate black coffee.
This is bad.
I like black coffee. It's so bitter.
You shut the fuck up!
Because really, it's the cheapest and most efficient way to grind attack points. I kind of wish there were a dampening effect from eating the same stuff forever. Like these guys, setting aside that the floor is slick and pungent with coffee vomit and their organs are painted black, there's so much cool Shibuya food out there. Parfaits, bubble tea, the most heartbreaking ramen. No reason to bother. So it's another day, another coffee, or soda. Thanks for reminding me that I live confined in my small little life. TWEWY Neo, I can't expand the borders of my world because I'm not fucking rich. Anyhow, I already drew my conclusions about ludonarrative harmony. The mechanics let you do what you want. give you creative control with your combat setup, your gear. You still need to sync up with party members for quality combos and fat payoffs. The game itself pushes you to swap up pin setups constantly and try new things. Great, but connectivity is more important to this game than even the original. We know we gotta care about that. Rindo won't stop scrolling Twitter. He's a goddamn maniac. So here's some of the mechanical elements that push the theme. There's a whole social network option. Man, can you imagine that? Adding someone on social media during a game where the losers are erased from existence? Like, sorry, Michael. I know it didn't work out, but maybe next time. Oh, he's gone. You get small bonuses via the network that expand as you play, and a lot of this is centered around the extremely saccharine friendship point system. It's not just friendship points. But they're scrounged up through play and side quests particularly. It's worth looking at the social network being mostly neutral people and even enemies, and most side quests involve opposing teams and helping their individual members. The game pushes the concept of expanding your world in a way that requires genuine compassion, seeing the people ahead of their brand or team or logo, whatever. That kind of selflessness was present in the original, where any team could complete the objective for every single team, but because Neo features a more consistently high-stakes, volatile, and competitive game, it's cool that the devs went so far to reward community building. And this is small, kind of, but hey, diamonds are too. Food in TWEWY isn't even available on an individual basis. You must order for everyone to eat at all. And man, that hits so hard. Like, yeah, it's annoying for 2 seconds because you're low on cash from pumping raw Peruvian blend into your veins, but you can't just let your friend go hungry. That even goes for Minamoto and whoever else you don't like up front. They're still people. You still gotta feed them. It's the right thing to do. Man, what a beautiful game. Also, every character gets a special skill, except your boy, he speaks in hieroglyphics at least. The game doesn't care if you're not gelling with the main crew or any of the later editions. They're all useful out of combat, delving into people's hearts, affecting the memories of people in the real world, eventually teleporting up the high rises and going really fast.
Ah, look at the Kino kids. Oh, you don't pay taxes yet.
And it can be hard getting into the game despite my hype. The first thing to come out of the press cycle was edgy wrath and other junk. The first instinct of dumbasses on Twitter, I guess, is to reduce things to absurdity. A product of American media, or is humanity just awful? Who can say, really? And that really sucks, because Neo doesn't put up much of a fight against uncharitable surface-level reads from people who haven't beaten it. And I don't think that's necessarily the fault of those players. How you present something, how well you sell it, matters a lot, and if you can't hook people, nobody cares about your amazing lore, or twist, or character moment. It's not that Neo is bad at packaging itself per se. It's laid out like TWEWY, 3 Weeks of the Reaper's game, but it's not divided as neatly. The 3 major arcs don't begin and end as cleanly as the original, neither in terms of immediate hook, nor incredible payoff. You're not meeting a boss and putting them down in a week, because Neo is a work you have to take in some. Take a single glance. Rindo's disconnected, but he's also not charismatic nor cruel like Neku's total misanthropy was up front. Fret's funny, but also bizarrely false, annoying at times. Nagi's so weebish it hurts. Like, girl, I can parse your dialogue because I'm a word nerd, but please don't go talking like that anywhere else. And many of the antagonists feel like pale echoes of past characters, reduced in dialogue to odd quirks and other junk. I can literally see someone going to anime, dumb, and leaving. And to be clear, they absolutely should not do that, but I can see how it might happen. Not trying to dunk on the new things, of course. Suzukichi is great. He's proportionally ridiculous. Get a load of this guy. Look at his boomer selfies.
Dude, this is
Hardest life in the game, 10 out of 10. So let's circle back to the characters, their quirks, and their abilities. I said that it's kind of hard to get into Neo right away. Your party doesn't gel well from the beginning. Rindo's never paying attention. Fret's trying to carry every conversation, but he's also hopelessly dumb. Nagi is actively rude to Fret and talks in an extremely frustrating way. For some people, if my own past experiences having a vocabulary are anything to go by. And Minamoto isn't there half the time. That's right, Minamoto. Just like a go real bad. Fred suffers from PTSD from the loss of someone close to him and effectively lost touch with his genuine self in grief. He acts trendy and keeps chasing the future because the past is too painful, but the other characters see a piece of annoying cardboard, more or less, a vapid dumbass, and it sucks because he's about 90% of the on-screen charisma until week 2. Cruelly, his unique power lets him remind others of all kinds of things, the one thing he finds too painful to do himself. Nagi is deeply empathetic, or at least her dialogue suggests that she is, but she's an empath in a world of people who reject her for being herself, and she in turn rejects most people outwardly, presumably to protect herself. It's an understandable problem if you think about it, but it's so easy to slip into Nagi's mean, because that's what it looks like at face value. Her power has her dive into the hearts of others, but it's extremely draining. She has to try so hard in a world that couldn't give half a shit about her. And Rindo really caps this whole disaster squad off. He's the most indecisive person around, so much so he admits to not being able to think for himself most of the time, but he's made leader instantly and basically forced to carry the team. He doesn't have a horrendous backstory, but his tendency to ask an online friend for help shows he's not all that confident. He doesn't hog the screen time, he doesn't do bombastic or interesting things, and he's both distrusting of others and even passive-aggressive in his internal monologue that's directly given to the player. He's not your average protag at all. Neku sucked as a human for a good while until the end of week 1, to be specific, but even then, he talked his shit. You can feel the character, and Rindo's almost a total flatline. His power, though, is time travel. You'll get a premonition of failure at the start of some days, and realize you'll be time traveling to alter the bad outcome. But this is the crux of the issue. All of Rindo's disconnectivity, his silence, his monologues, are almost all related to him attempting to change fate so the party doesn't die. He's preoccupied 90% of the time because he's trying to fix the future in a rigged Reapers game. It recontextualizes almost every scene in the game that sits flat or boring on first pass. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it, and you don't appreciate fully until playing the game again. It was a massive risk handling the presentation of Neo like this, and I was pretty frustrated for a lot of the game, because I'm a huge TWEWY fan, and all I saw at first was a team of lesser characters getting clowned in a game somehow more obnoxiously rigged than the original, never getting a sick win, an epic triumph, or a clean payoff. Incidentally, the last day goes so hard, if I said how hard, I'd get in trouble with YouTube. But that's what happens when you edge for 3 weeks. Now, the game's fairly new, and I happen to hold the ending in pretty high regard, so please bounce, if you will, if you're trying to avoid all spoilers. Mild spoilers beginning in 3, 2, 1. It's kind of expected for Neku to return, and bizarrely his inclusion didn't make me feel much. Like, oh yeah, there you are. About time right near the end. All I have to say is he gets a scene that I've been waiting for a long time, and it's specifically what broke me up. Absolutely demolished. 10 out of 10 peak fiction. What half surprised me was Beat. I had no idea he'd be in the game, or really why he was in the game at all, but Neo does this thing near the end where it transforms from a story about the Kino kids into a TWEWY original tie-in, plus the Kino kids. And I can understand that. I just feel like all those guys got their stories already, but it didn't hamper things, it just expanded the character pool. Still, I'm more concerned about the conflict between Rindo's gang and the new Reapers. Speaking of which, the other playable character you pick up is Shoka, the Reaper assigned to follow the party around, and that relationship's mostly...
And I'm out. Later, losers.
And then it turns into...
Figures. That kind of info's probably above your pay grade.
And then it turns into the saddest, most heart-wrenching thing yet conceived, and you will stand Shoka by the end. She can teleport up, not horizontally, mostly vertically, and you'll never guess why. No, I'm not telling you. Go play the game, give Square money now. So here's the story breakdown. Here comes the airplane. Unhinge your jaw or I'll do it for you! After the fallout from the original, and the final remix content as well, the Shibuya Reapers largely fell in line with a new cadre of Reapers from Shinjuku that came seeking refuge after their city's existence was erased from reality. Even Kariya and Uzuki are back, and not doing too much until the end, but I guess that's expected. And the story revolves around this faction of highly intertwined Reapers, and the teams playing the Reapers game. This time it's not about partners, or anything like that. New regime, new rules. Long story short, it's a point grind contest, and one team's been at the top for multiple games, the Ruin Bringers, who keep wishing to continue playing the game as is. The situation feels impossible, but with the ultimate dream team of totally eclectic, barely post-pubescence, not entirely certain you can win this thing. The story hinges on the theme of connectivity, both in expanding your world, it's the world ends with you after all, and connecting to yourself, being genuine. And more than that, it leverages the theme of leadership to great effect by contrasting the idiot kids and everyone else. You watch every other team sputter, crash, and burn over the course of the game because their leaders won't lead, or make poor decisions. Not unlike Rindo, but Rindo critically gets multiple chances because of his time power. Rindo gets to improve himself, correct his behavior in real time. Rindo puts his faith in characters he doesn't immediately believe in, and that's what makes the story compelling scene by scene. The other leaders either lack charisma, don't believe in their allies, or can't be genuine and open with each other. And this conceit extends to the Shinjuku Reapers too. Their leader, Shiba, is largely isolated and losing his grip in general, but his old colleagues still obey him, still refuse to break formation, won't even be real with the guy. Damn, it's almost like a crisis of leadership, and a lack of genuine connectivity has led to a gross stagnation of community and general unrest. Shinjuku, Tokyo is a business district. The Reapers are fairly unique, but still wearing at least some business attire. The entire culture of the Shinjuku Reapers is ripe for a clash with Shibuya's values. Like a Japanese business district, a bastion of tradition, conformity, public posturing, ass-kissing, working with anybody, but not necessarily connecting. It's the perfect storm. Sorry if I'm not trying to be funny. This stuff is so interesting. Like, the amount of thought and nuance lacing every detail of the characters, the conflicts, the world building, the scenario writ large, Neo is fascinating to dissect. It's one of the few works where I get the fan interest across both titles because there's so much to dig up. And that conflict is exactly what causes the endgame. Stagnation, blind loyalty, a refusal to change or open up. You know, Mr. H said it best. Trust your partner. The Higher Plane is a piece of world building from the first game, and I think they kept it out of the story then because it was mostly unnecessary. You don't need to spell everything out in exposition. That's what secret reports are for. But Neo makes the Higher Plane a relevant part of the plot. I don't have a problem with that. And I like that the angels or deities of different ranks are actually alien, not cast like biblical angels, just genuinely do not think like human beings do.
And I could scream about the ending here, cover every event in detail, but what really matters, why these games are so important, is as far as games go that care about actually telling stories, TWEWY as a series is one of the only series that actually tells its story on every available front. As we detailed, its gameplay is telling stories, its OST is telling a story, eclectic vibes, feeling out your style, becoming yourself, finding new versions of yourself. All of these things, all of these concepts are baked into the gameplay. A lot of games get a lot of praise for making people feel things, but I'd argue there's nothing unique about that as compared to something like film or writing, but games as a medium can tell stories in unique ways, and that's exactly what TWEWY does. It's the great value of the series.
The World Ends With You should be enshrined in a Hall of Fame somewhere. It's embarrassing. How can you make games this good at storytelling, this deep and interesting and finely crafted? And it's really, really obvious after a little digging, but no, the Hall of Fame gets Banjo, and Mario, and Zoldo, and man, I'm tired. Is this it? Is this what it feels like when someone watches my show and they just don't appreciate my rude behavior and my screeching and my casual disregard for whatever they love? Well, either way, it's never gonna matter how good your work is if no one sees it. TWEWY is smart, clean, cool, complex, immensely worth your time. It can be hard to see the good up front. There are genuine hurdles to the juicy bits for some players, but I think they're the perfect opportunity for the average gamer to break down their barriers, expand their bubble, because those limits might feel safe and assured, but the world is so vast. It truly ends with you. I play so many games for my show because that's ultimately the thesis statement of the channel. Play new things, experience them genuinely, improve along the way. That's not just the takeaway for a game series. It's a philosophy for life. Hey, it's KBash. Huge thanks goes out to my $4 patrons. Check them out. Beautiful. And double special thanks goes to my extra generous patrons who are
Adam Welch,
Acropolis,
Alex,
Alpha 42,
Andy Blarg,
Arch, Azura,
Axon 8,
Azulus,
Basement Dweller,
Bearkeeper, Easy Soul,
Ben M,
Blake Against the Machine,
Bohawk,
Boom Dead,
Brios,
Brianna Wu,
British
Gooch,
Cal,
Can I Cuss on
Captain
Here?
Blasted,
Captain Wade,
Caesar T,
Chiefy Boy,
Cordit,
Chris Bromo,
Cody Golden,
Couch Mocha,
Corgi the Lad,
Crater,
CW
Kyle
Glassworks,
LaPriest, Cynical,
Daddy Dagon,
Dundee,
Dakota Storm
Jakey
Jones,
Steak, Swaggy
David
Bear,
Castillo,
Dara,
Dakota,
Dead, Dennis Amaya,
Diablo,
Dr. Cullen PhD, YesChabano.com,
Dylan Coffee,
8-Bit
Elias,
Elpio,
Elsa,
Aesthetico,
Everstone
Isle,
Exa,
Fupa Saiyan,
Frankenstick,
Frisky Nippler,
Glyphseeker,
Goose 6112,
Gray,
the Darkest Black,
Corey,
Gucci Plant,
Hatsune Miku's Crack House,
Archive,
Demon,
Game and Station,
Hexmax,
Horn Tiger,
Huey.
I'm supporting KBash just because I wanted to make this part of the video longer.
Ingenious Clown,
I punched a sandwich.
Irrational, Irradiated Cherries,
Dice Kyle.
It's not bad.
It's time to sue.
It's not good.
Ivy Ruth Langley,
Jacob,
James,
Jason Lasky,
Jaden,
J-Deus,
John Bo the Joker,
Joke Fraud,
Jordan
Joyner,
Julian My Julian,
Keegan Too Cool,
Kata Snap,
King Kuma,
Clock Crated, Crazy Dark Chocolate,
Tice,
Kyle, KZ Excellent,
Lady
Dentalian,
Latrix,
Laundry Mom,
Lego Sid,
Loathsome Dung Eater,
Low Fat Moger,
Lucas Boyd, Lucky McSmucky,
Mac
James,
Magical Madman,
Mara Ganger,
Marcules,
Mugio,
Maximilian Wolfgang
Mike
Niver,
DeVere,
Milky Moo Official, Monochrome Only,
Mr. Dodongo, Mr. Whiskey 282,
Nyrenewed,
Pedo Torpedo, Nico Puzzle Rack,
Nurian Daridius,
Not Nobel,
Old Burgle,
Old Man Cranberry,
Only LK,
The Plant, Pandemic Cowboy,
Pinata, PK Gaming,
Popular Hitman, Potato Gaming HD, Prismatic Dan,
Fractal and Pals,
Quasar McDougal, Quillworth,
Quinn,
Reasonable Willow,
Reggie Rodriguez,
Renteca Bond,
Ricochet
Friend
Frame,
Relay,
Ryan
Maury Brooks,
Siren Smells Good,
Salty Smasher,
Scribe Slendy,
Sakai no Award,
Shod, Silver Bear 909,
Sing God, Sleepy Wabbit,
Suckdolager,
Space Lizard,
Spooky Grimalkin,
Squidged,
Squishword,
Starbound,
Storm
Strider,
Sublime Cataclysm,
Super Sandwich
Sean
Guy,
Chubbington,
The Big Bubby,
The Salt
The
Knight,
Dick
Mystic,
Thrips Heart,
Tiggles
McGuffin,
Timid the Writer,
Total Play,
Travis Edwards,
Twiddle Chungus,
Ty
Guy 9001,
Vid,
Valenrist,
Venom,
Vice Pup,
Viewers Like You,
Vic,
Waposa,
Weeb Trash, Waylon,
Where Am I? Help?
Winter Solstice,
Wood TV,
Zanny Tanner,
Yashichi,
Yate Kundo,
Zachary Livesey,
Zachary V,
Zanasso,
Zane the Impure,
Zane the Pure,
Zeradax, Zed Slayer Gamer,
Zero Zalazar,
Sylvan Ray,
Zenova,
Cyberbunk. If you'd like to help support the show, unlock new long-form projects, and help me keep improving, check out my Patreon. We got lots more videos in store. Stay tuned for more. KBash out.